Uganda managed to take an edge in the first round of ICC Cricket World Cup Challenge League B, and if there are many pointers you would take in this first round, many would point at our captain, his first tournament, and scoring a couple of runs or edging all the others in the squad. But my name is Mugalu Jeremiah. I welcome you to another edition, which I can call the last of the ICC Cricket World Cup Challenge League B. And today with me, rounding it up, is Denis Musali. As we have gone through the whole tournament, talking about a couple of issues or a couple of performances that have been taking place in the tournament, this is one that you will have to check out, or this is one that you'll have to see. This is the site. I welcome you. Subscribe, like, and share. Dennis, say hi to the viewers out there.
Hi everyone, and thank you for they've been following us throughout the whole tournament. This is our probably fourth or fifth episode we are doing about the tournament, and I would like to thank everyone who has followed, subscribed, liked, and been enjoying the episodes on the site. So I'm happy to be here.
All right, thank you, Dennis. So we are going to be talking about the tournament, and let us start with the last day of the tournament, where Uganda took on Bahrain and got to win with a sizable margin, something that I thought wasn't a surprise on the day. But diving into the action, we had a lot of performances that one would point out and say that this was outstanding. Limiting Bahrain to, let me not even, I think I've forgotten the total of what we won with, but it's one thing to say that we won with a sizable margin, but it's one thing to point out the standout performances, because we might say we were a little bit limited, because with the people I was seated with, many were looking at the margin and were saying, I think tuja kamalamu nga tetunatuuka wali nga tebannaweza kikumi, but they made 110. So I don't want to pinpoint you to the wall. Let us just start. What do you think was your standout? Who was your standout performer? Let us start with that.
In that game or in the tournament?
In that game.
In that game, obviously, it has to be, I think, Shurdeep Mangela. He got a century, the second for Uganda in the tournament. And I think the important thing about that, he had gotten a couple of stats in that game throughout the whole tournament, but he wasn't converting, and finally he was able to convert one. And I think it's a good thing, one, for him to build his confidence, as we have two more rounds after this. But also overall, that top order has not been, none of them has been able to get a half century or a century. But for someone to finally stand up and put their hand up and get a half century, to get a full century, I think that was a good thing for him. But even Mangera may take the glory, but Dinesh Nakarani as well, back-to-back 50s for him, shows that he's starting to grow in confidence. He was lacking a couple of runs, but the confidence is back with the bat. That game, the correct score is Uganda got 267, and Bahrain finished on 101, so we won by 166 runs.
Shurdeep Mangela, 102 off 128 balls, something that you think it is not that scary, but at least for him as a person, I think it's something that can take him way far in how he can build his confidence. But let us talk about Denis Nyakurani. This game he managed to get a half century. The previous game too, if you remember, Hong Kong, he was one of the standout performers. However much Halpesh Ramjani and Riyazat Alisha stood up, what do you get to think in your mind that he can do better? Because I was speaking to one of the people who told me that if he was so good as an all-rounder, he would be the best, better than Riyazat. I think that's a debate that we would not like to get into. But at this point of time, what do you think he can do better, and how far do you think he can go?
First of all, the position at which he bats, it's difficult for him to get a century, because normally he comes in when there are a few overs left. It's easier if you're in the top four, because you have a lot of time. You have an opportunity of scoring the century because you have 50 overs. But Dinesh normally comes when you have maybe 18 overs left or 15 overs. He's never coming when we have too much resources in hand. So for him to be able to score runs from that position, no, and if you notice his century, his half century is off a few more balls as well. But imagine Mangala scored his century off 128 balls. This time he scored, Dinesh scored 78, I think, but off about 60 balls. So for him, he doesn't have too many balls. Maybe if he had more resources, it would be easy for him to go and convert those half centuries into centuries. But Dinesh, he plays the way the team requires him to play. Because in that position, normally Uganda wants people to be, in cricket we normally say, we call it teeing off. They're trying to tee off. But you need to have people in those positions who can actually tee off. It's useless for you to get to that point when the people who can do it are not there. So Dinesh, the team needs him to be in that position and be able to tee off and try and help the team finish on a big total. Like we spoke about it the other day, that Uganda starts so slowly and then they fire at the back end. So it is important for them to be able to have people like Dinesh and Alpesh and Riazat Alisha in those positions ready to fire. So Dinesh is important for them to just make sure that he has a skill set that fits that position, and he's always the guys before him set him up to be in that position for him to do what he can do. Because like I mentioned the other time, if he comes in a bit earlier, then he might be useless. Yeah. He can still get 50, but then he has taken 50, but he has scored 50 off so many balls because he was trying to survive and things like that, or there were better bowlers available at that moment. So that's but for me, I feel that as an all-rounder, he needs to make contributions for Uganda with both the bat and the ball. Of course, bowling has been his primary role for the last couple of years, but he's also a very, very capable batter, so he needs to be making sure that he consistently puts in performances with the bat.
I think off his game, we are going to be talking about a couple of performances. First, we shall talk about who was, in your opinion, your best bowler, who was your best batter, and who was your standout performer in the whole tournament. But before we head into that, I would like us to still focus on Team Uganda, where we see the likes of Juma Miyagis. I want us to rate the way our pace bowlers have done and the way our spinners have done throughout this first round. First, let's start with pace bowlers.
I think the pace bowlers were used sparingly. They were used mostly for the games Uganda played in Lugogo. In Entebbe, you saw Uganda was using an approach where they went with one of them, but not both. So Cosmas missed the 2 games, missed 1 game, not the 2 games. The last 2 games in Entebbe, Cosmas was taken out and Franco came in for him. I think really tactical, nothing big there. So that is with the pace bowlers, but I think they are very capable. In terms of bowling, if you put it head to head for the 2 of them, I think maybe Cosmas has had a bit of an edge against Miyagi, because Cosmas picked a 5 in the tournament against Tanzania. But really, those 2 boys know how to complement each other. Juma Miyagi is very good at the back end. Then Cosmas is always good at the beginning because he can cause a lot more problems at the beginning. But Juma now has mastered the skill of bowling at the back end, which is also very important. So they are very, very complementary in the way they play. And maybe why Juma has been ahead of Cosmas is because of his batting. Juma can also score a couple of runs. And a lot of teams these days in international cricket also want their bowlers to make a contribution with the bat. So maybe that has really been the difference between the 2 of them. But it's just, it's not like Uganda cannot play the both of them at the same time. I think it's just a tactic that they wanted to use more slow bowling options in Entebbe. So one of them had to miss out. But ideally, you should have the both of them playing all the time for Uganda, and hopefully that when the conditions favor that, they'll always be able to bowl together because they're very, very exciting. It's very hard to find young boys bowling at that pace in this generation. And if you have the both of them in the team, I think it just adds to the potence that you have in terms of your bowling options.
You've tried to highlight what the pace bowlers have done, both here in Lugogo and in Entebbe. And one highlight that I can take out of what you've said is that I think we have done more of a tactical work, or the coach has done more of a tactical work with the help, I think, of the analysts to put out at least 1 bowler to accommodate 1 spinner. So on that base, I want us to dive into the spinners. We have seen Franco, we have seen Henry Senyondo, do the work down there in Entebbe. How well can you rate the two? Or how much work do you think they have put in? And at least later on, you give marks to them.
We'll just take out Franco. Franco didn't play all the games. The other two played all the games. Franco, the different from the other two. The other two are left-arm spinners. Again, they are two left-arm spinners, but also different in their styles. Henry is slower through the air. He's slow and he tries to turn the ball. Alpesh is more, direct and accurate. He's trying to go through the overs very quickly, so he bowls a lot of darts, but he can also get turned off the wicket. I think Uganda has made sure that those are their two frontline slow blowers. Alpesh, because he can also make contributions with the runs. Henry is essentially there as a bowler, so he will be judged on how well he bowls in every game. And that match-winning spell against Italy, I think, showed the value that he brings to the team. When everyone was going for runs, he's the only one who came on, got the breakthroughs, and was able to win the game for Uganda, eventually winning player of the match. So Henry has shown. A lot of people keep questioning why he's in the team, because I feel these days the game has changed so much that you can't just say, Jeremiah, I'm a bowler. They want players who can be able to contribute on all the three cricketing skills. The cricketing skills are bowling, fielding, and batting. So you find teams picking people who can contribute. Maybe it gives me a 60, or I can compensate this, things like that. But Henry is really an out-and-out bowler. He bats at number 11. So he's a good fielder, but he won't put him in those high-traffic areas where you hope that a serious catch is going to come and he will take it. So, but when he gets the ball, that's when he shows his value for the team. So he's shown that his value in that way. When you're making the playing 11, you need to start with Yarzad Alisha and then Henry Senyon. Then you fit in other players like that. So he's shown his value, and Alpesh as well. Alpesh has contributed because bowling is not his only important skill, but he's shown that he can also score runs. He got a half century in the tournament. So it's been, I think the two, it's very hard to remove them, to take them out of the team. That's why they consistently keep out Frank and Sobuga. Frank deserves to play, but now Frank looks like he will only come in the team when it is a tactical change, not that he will immediately sold into the team. So if Uganda is playing teams against that have too many left-handed batters, then Frank and Sobuga will be a direct pick compared to their two spinners. So, which is a good thing. I think one of the things Uganda did so well was have a good bench in this tournament, that the guys who are on the bench can replace those that are playing. So that was also a good thing. But the slow bowling options, I think, like we've said, they were able to win games for the team, especially the games in Entebbe. And even that, for example, Brian must have also bowled a couple of slow overs. He's also that's another dimension he brings to the team, yet he bats in the top order. So the slow bowling options were really, whenever either the pace bowlers would fail Juma and Cosmas, they were able to make sure that they pin down teams and also pick wickets.
You've tried to put it out there so well. I think it's so perfect. That's why we have Denis Musali on set here. But let us go through your top picks. If possible, I think you can make a team for yourself. But to mention but a few, we had a number of countries into this tournament. I think it's something that I should always do to remind the people that we had also other countries. Many may think Uganda was Uganda only doing the round robin thing, but we also had countries like Italy, we had Bahrain, we had Singapore, we had any I've forgotten? Tanzania. It's very easy for someone to forget Tanzania, by the way, in the tournament. Then we also had Hong Kong, China. I think one of the better countries that exhibited good cricket down here in Kampala. But your best bowler in the tournament?
I think it's very difficult to stay away from the leading wicket take of the tournament, Yasin Motaza from Hong Kong, China. Very, very good left-arm spinner. And I think he was also the go-to bowler for Hong Kong. When things were difficult for everyone else, he was the one who came up and took wickets. But they also had an opening bowler called Atiq Iqbal, who was very good. Grant Stewart as well for Italy was very, very decent from the games I watched. And of course, ultimately for Uganda, it's Henry Senyondo. It was really the standout bowler for them. Henry balls in those difficult overs in the middle where people are starting to hit, and the Kadbat Zibugumye. Then he comes on to ball, he gets wickets, he slows down teams. So for Uganda, the bowler could have been, ultimately for me, was Henry Senyondo. He picked 11 wickets in the tournament. His highest, his best being 4 for 28 against Italy. So for Uganda, I would go with Henry Senyondo. While the other guys are also very, very decent, but Henry for me was a standout. As well as Dinesh Nakrani, he got a sixer in the first game against Singapore. But ultimately, the standout bowler for me was Yassin Motaza. He was very, very tight. Even the game when he scored 292 against Hong Kong, he's the only bowler who went for, I think, about 30, while everyone else struggled. So Yassin Motaza was a standout bowler for me.
Yassin Motaza. One of his hard names. But anyway, your top batter.
Top batter, and again, not a Ugandan, unfortunately. Of course, because I do commentary, so I sit in a privileged position where I see so many things. But I would go with Emilio Nicoge from Italy. He got 4 half centuries. His only failure in the tournament was a 50 against Uganda. But he got 4 half centuries without scoring a century. He was the second leading run scorer behind Riyazat Ali Shah. Very, very good on the crease. Scored his runs flawlessly, never gave chances, didn't look flashy. Just made batting look very easy, by the way. While maybe other people were struggling, he just made things look very, very easy. So I think for me it was a standout. For Uganda, of course, it has to be Riyazat Ali Shah. 3 half centuries for him and a century. 2 half centuries, not 3 centuries. Yeah, 2 half centuries and a century, because he got 11 in the last game against Bahrain. So surprisingly, Riyazat Ali Shah, the most run scorer. Not that he wouldn't get them, but maybe you were expecting someone from the top 4 to be getting those runs. But Riyazat Ali Shah batting at number 5 always came in when the team was in trouble. They need to score quickly. They always came in when there was a situation. He never ever walked into a perfect situation. He always walked in when there was a situation to deal with, and he was able to stand up and put his hand up and lead from the front. So Riyazat Ali Shah for me was the standout batter for Uganda. In the tournament, I would say Emilio Nicoge from Italy.
Emilio Nicoge. I also watched him and I was like, oh wow, with his compatriot, Joe Burns. Joe Burns, I felt he did so good. Now that's what takes me to your team. While you're picking your team for the first round, I would like us. I get to think that Uganda did so well, and it's very hard to pick a team without a Ugandan player at this point of time, because we're at the top. The gentleman on the camera is is all smiles, but your team, starting from your batters.
The batters, it will be hard to go away from Emilio Nicoge. He used to open batting for Italy, so you'd say one of the openers that you'd want in your team. I'm trying to look through all the other teams. I would say Robinson Obuya for Uganda. He was steady at the top. Never got big runs, but he always looked steady. He did what he had to do. Then number 3, you want to go with Mangela? No, I think I'll go with the Italian captain, Marcus Capompiano. Was very, very solid there. Number four, if I look through all the other teams as well, Uganda, our number 4 was always a position that was changing. Maybe I'll skip that. I'll go to Riyazat Ali Shah, number 5, and the captain of the the captain of the tournament as well, the captain of my best team. Throw in Harry Manenti for Italy. Was also a very good opening ball and batter. From Italy as well, I'll pick Grant Stewart, very good all-rounder bowling with batting. I can't miss Henry Senyondo as a spinner, Yassin Motaza. I think those are close to 3 plus 4, 7 players. Yassin Motaza is also very good for Hong Kong. You want to use, I want to have both Cosmas Cheuta and Juma Miege as my opening bowlers. I think they were the standout fast bowlers of the tournament. I didn't see anyone else with a lot of trouble and going to trouble batters. Tanzania, you get Sanju Bom Takur, was very, very good spinner for them. He nearly pushed the game with Hong Kong China. I never won the game for them, but pushed the game. Haidali, the captain of Bahrain, very, very good. He's the only one who got a 50 against us in the game against Bahrain. I think he looked like the only player who came to play from Bahrain. Because even you remember in the warm-up games in Jinja, he was the only one who was scoring runs for them. Yeah. I think that would be mostly it. You need to find a place for Dinesh Nakrani. But I think we've already made 11 players, so that is mostly my team of the tournament. Those are the standout players for me, the ones I've been able to watch. And not so many, not so much from Singapore and Tanzania. Both teams didn't win a game, so they didn't have really standout players. Singapore had a very, very young team, and Tanzania, this level is different for them. They're just learning, so they didn't have so many standout players. I didn't watch so many games of Bahrain apart from. I didn't watch so many games of Bahrain, but I saw them in the warm-up games against Uganda, and really, Haidali was the standout player from them. So you would find that most of the players who stood out were from Uganda, Italy, and Hong Kong, China. That's it.
You've been talking about Haidali, and I was watching him on Saturday. I think he was very furious with one of the people that he was batting with, because he felt like they were about to give him in before he made 50. So that's how aggressive he was while he was batting. But your bowlers, I know Henry Senyondo is one of the top, but the rest I think you can add.
Bowlers, Henry Senyono, like I've said, Yasim Motaza, very good as well. Juma Miyagi and Cosmas, I didn't see any other bowler who was really that threatening with them. Tanzania had Sanjay Kumar Takul, very, very good as well. The way he bowls, those are the modern style of spinners. People who can take the ball both ways as spinners. It was also very, very good. Henry Senyondo, yes, we've mentioned Alpesh bowls better than that he did bowl in this tournament. So hopefully maybe that's sometimes a challenge with all-rounders. When they are very good with the bat, then they'll have a lean tournament with the ball. When they are very good with the ball, they will have a lean tournament with the bat. Yeah. So maybe that could have happened for him, but he bowls much better than he did throughout this whole tournament. Dinesh Nakarani, in phases, he was good in the Singapore game. Then later on, he just never picked enough wickets to even finish among the top wicket getters. But for Hong Kong, he was called Atik Iqbal at the top of the order there. He was a very good tidy bowler. Someone who's very good for T20, for 50-over cricket. I think that Singapore had a lot of spinners, but they were here and there about, not very consistent. So it's hard to, pick one or the other. Bahrain, I didn't watch so many of their games, but I just remember I was just seeing the scores. I'll just speak about those. I think those for me were really the standout bowlers from what I was able to see. Italy, Grant Stewart in Italy, very, very good. Yeah. And Harry Manenti, okay as an all-rounder, he can do something with the ball, but I think Grant Stewart was really their standout bowler. And they also had in the final game, one of their bowlers who hadn't played throughout the whole tournament picked a fiver, Rakibul Hassan, but he hadn't even played the whole tournament, so we didn't see so much of him. We can't judge him just based on that one game. I'll judge maybe Cristiano Jorge Fernando Kalugumare. He was very, very good, the leg spinner, and he challenged a couple of people and got wickets. So that's it for most of the bowling.
Oh, I would doubt it if Henry Senyondo wasn't in there, but the rest we can find. But Henry Senyondo, I think he was one of the standout players in that tournament. But away from your team, what was your standout team of the tournament?
Standout team, I think I'll give Italy. Italy surprised all of us. Italy came to these qualifiers through a qualifier. From the last Challenge League, Italy finished among the bottom two teams in our group. The last group we were in that had Jersey, Uganda, Hong Kong. Hong Kong then they didn't have the China name on it. Hong Kong, Italy, and Bermuda. Bermuda and Italy went down. So when they went down, they went through another qualifier to get back into the Challenge League. That qualifier, that's where they progressed with Tanzania, Kuwait. The other team is in the other Challenge League. I've forgotten the name. I'm trying to remember them, but I've forgotten it. So they came up 4 teams. So they came up through that qualifier. And you thought the teams they came up with, even Kuwait did well in the Challenge League in Kenya. But the teams they came up with, you thought, when you get promoted, you feel that the people you found in that class are the ones who should be leading. But Italy came here. Italy, you feel that Uganda was lucky to win against them because they had that game in hand and they had the game in balance, but somehow they connived and let us win. So Italy was, for me, the standout team of the tournament. For them, they've gone for not taking chances. They've gone with the experience only. There were no youngsters in that team. They've gone with totally inexperienced team, guys who played on the county circuit, guys who play in Australia, and things like that. So they've gone for the experience for them to help them succeed at this level, which is the right thing to do. while Uganda has a couple of youngsters. Singapore completely brought youngsters. Tanzania has a few youngsters in their team. They had a 15-year-old bowling for them. Italy have gone for experience period. They played the same team for the 4 games they played up to the final game where they changed the team, but they had played the same team throughout the whole tournament. So it shows you that they know what they're doing, they have a plan, and they want to work towards it. And when I spoke to the captain, he was also not happy that they only got 7 points out of a possible 10. If their game against Bahrain wasn't washed out, you'd feel like they were the favorites in that game. They would have left Kampala with 9 points, 9 out of 10, which would be a very good thing for them. So Italy, I think for me, were a very, very good team, taking nothing away from Uganda, but Italy for me was really the standout team.
Italy was your standout team, and they got 7 points. We got 9, and you've been talking about how well if their game wasn't washed out, you said they would have gotten 9. That's what brings me to my next question. How are these points in cricket calculated? Because we see we only had we didn't have a loss, we were unbeaten, and we had 1 game washed out. So why do Italy, who lost a game to us, how do they get to 9 points if they had their game not washed out?
They would have gotten to 9 if they had played against Bahrain and won. They would have added 2 to what they finished with, which is 7. So the tournament had, normally the points are stated before the tournament starts. They say in this tournament, if you win, you get 1. If you lose, you get 0. If the game is a no result, you share a point. So in cricket, if it's a no result, you share the points. So you take 1, I take 1. Sometimes teams complain that that's unfair because I haven't played. Why are you earning off me, especially if I'm the stronger team? You would rather, if it's a no result, we both get 0. And then you would rather get 1 when it is a tie. You understand, a tie means you've both played and then the game ends in a tie. But if you haven't played, why are you getting a point off me? So some teams feel like it's unfair. But a tie in this tournament, a win was 2 points. A tie was, of course, there are no ties now. They will go for a super over and what. A no result was they would share the points, and yes, that would be mostly it. So we played 4 games. That's 4 times 2. That gives us 8, and then the one no result with Hong Kong, we got a point that gives us 9. So Italy, for them, they had their game against Bahrain washed out, so they got a point from that, but they could only win 3 games because they lost to us. So it is 3, which is 6, and then the one no result, which is 7 for them.
Cricket is also hard in calculations, and you must be a very good math student in order to calculate that. So, but we have gone through a tournament, and I would like to ask you what next for Uganda as they go into the next round, which is the second round anyway. What next as they go through the second round?
So the boys are now, they're not going to take a long break because the second round is coming quickly. It's in Feb. But I know the plan for now is a couple of, the A-side, our Uganda A-side, which is our second team, is going to run to play an A-side series with the Rwanda team and then the Zimbabwe team. The S team, this is an important team for them. Important trip for them is, if you're in the A-side, you're trying to push for a place in the main team. So the A-side gives you an opportunity for you to get your confidence back and play yourself into form, basically. I think let me just use that. So players like Simon Sesazi, Roger Mkasa, who's the captain of the team, are in that particular group, Cyrus Kakuru. So they try and put pressure on the guys who are in the main team. But later in December, the Cricket Cranes will be going to Kigali again for the Continental Cup. We played it last year in Kenya. So they are going to Kigali to play in the Continental Cup that will have Uganda, Kenya, Botswana, and Rwanda. And that will be the end of the year for them. But I don't think they will have a very long Christmas because they will need to come back in camp immediately to try and prepare for the second round of the Challenge League. The last round, we finished second. The last Challenge League, we finished second, tied on the same number of points and Jersey. But remember that last round, we had won our first round. We had won 5 out of 5 in the first round. Then we won 6 out of 10 in the second and third round, but failed to progress. Meaning, for us to progress, we need to win at least 7 games. So now we have to prepare quickly to show that we learned the lessons from the last qualifier. And if you look at how the group is looking like, Jeremiah, the top 3 teams, clearly there's a gap between them and the bottom 3. Yeah. So the competition is going to be among the top 3. So for you to be able to progress, that's why I'm telling you 6 games are not enough for you. if you're going to beat the guys who are at the bottom, who are the three, means everyone else is also going to beat them. So for you to qualify, you have to beat those that are in direct qualification with you. So we'll have to beat Italy and Hong Kong. Out of those 4 games we'll play among ourselves, you need to win at least 3. So 3 means 3 tough games for you. You find a Hong Kong, and you find a Singapore and beat them. But the other 4 games are your targets. You need to make sure that you're winning them. So there's work to do, and to show that you learned lessons from the last qualifier, we need to win at least 7 of the remaining 10 games for us to go to the next round.
Pretty impressive, and I think it's something that the cricket cranes can really do, because not going on to the next stage previously, just on net run rate, I think it's something they learned from, and this time round we hope they can really fight and get onto the next stage, or gain ODI status, as you told us in the beginning of his interviews. But I was going through the different tournaments that are taking place in Africa, and I got to see the sub-regional World Cup qualifiers. What is this all about?
So the sub-regional qualifiers, because Uganda was at the T20 World Cup, Uganda and Namibia are the teams that qualified directly from Africa. So for us to go to the next World Cup, we don't need to go through the whole process again. Actually, those sub-regional qualifiers started even when the World Cup is happening. In some continents, in Europe, I think they were playing when the World Cup is on. So Uganda is sort of like given a bye into the Africa finals. That's what we call the Africa T20 finals. That because by the virtue that we are the World Cup, not because we are Uganda, no. By the virtue of that, by the virtue that we are the World Cup, Uganda and Namibia were the 2 teams that qualified directly for the African finals. So the first one was in Tanzania, where Tanzania and Malawi qualified to join Uganda and Namibia. And then in Kenya, Zimbabwe and Kenya qualified to join Tanzania, Malawi, Uganda, and Namibia. So the last one is going to be in Nigeria, which also has another 6 teams. But if you look at that group, you're thinking if it goes to script, it should be Nigeria and Botswana who progress. So the Africa finals will have a total of 8 teams, and will be happening next year. So if we had not gone to the World Cup, we would also be playing these sub-regional qualifiers to get there.
I was looking at a couple of nations in there, and I was having a sight onto a country called St. Helena. I was like, in cricket we do have nations, because I remember
St. Helena is what is the right English word? It's a British colony or something like that, or protectorate. It's down near South Africa. Near South Africa, you take a ferry there, but normally people go there. But it's a because I've done commentary before in St. Helena's playing. They even play. Their national anthem is the May God Save the King. They don't have. I don't think they don't have anything like Uganda or something. So they are really more like white people. But it's but because of its proximity to Africa, they play in Africa. If they were closer to Europe, they would play in Europe. But because they are closer to Africa, so they are allowed to play in the African qualifiers. So it's a lovely place. One of the places not affected by COVID. When you talk to those people, they are amazing people. It's just, I think going there is a bit difficult. There is one flight out of that country every week. If you miss it, you have to wait next week. If you miss it again, you have to wait next week. I remember one of them telling us that they got stuck in South Africa for about 3 weeks because of bad weather. So every day they will say, no, the weather is bad, we can't go. So just by saying that means you go again next week. We shall try again next week. They don't say we shall try again tomorrow. Just by saying that, you try again next week and not tomorrow. So it's a very good country, and they play good cricket, by the way. If you get an opportunity and watch them on the ICC TV next week, they play good cricket. They are not because I know I've told you they are closer. Their relations are closer to the UK. Maybe they get players from there, but they are very, very good cricket players. St. Helena.
I think it's something that I will have to watch out for, including a viewer out there. It's something that you should look out for. Those games are coming up, I think, next week?
Yeah, next week from the 23rd. From the 23rd up to the 28th in Abuja in Nigeria.
Okay, a good one. And a good one for my friend Zil. He's one of the people that gets to update me that, you know what, Jeremiah, we have a tournament right here. This and this is taking place. But next month still, you've been talking about the cricket cranes. A little bit I think is a girls tournament that is going to be running down there in Nairobi. And I do not know if Uganda is going to be part of it, but if there's one thing I'm sure of is that the hosts Kenya will be in it because they are the hosts anyway, and other countries like Nigeria. A sneak peek on this tournament.
Yeah, it's a girls' invitational tournament, but we are yet to give confirmation that whether Uganda will be there. We might not be in it, but we're still making plans to make sure that the girls can be part of it, because it's been a while since they played some international cricket. I think since Kwibuka, they haven't had an opportunity to play elsewhere, yet they keep training every day. So it will be a good experience for them. Last time we were there in December, we won that tournament. It will be a good experience for them to go and play against other teams that will be there. But we just haven't made the conversation of whether we shall be there or not.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dennis. Today, I think my producer was telling me about something, and it's more of how the viewers out there can learn a lot more about cricket, most especially on the ground. This month may it be kind of a wetty one. Rain all over today, tomorrow, and the other day, but I think sometime to come, if you make time for us, we shall have to go to the cricket oval, and a lot of viewers there may be interested in learning more about cricket. But I'm very happy that you've gotten to join us from the start of the tournament up to the end of it. And any last words for the viewer out there?
No, first of all, the last and most important, I think, this time even let me look in the camera. I think we want to thank people who have come out to support the team. Our tagline for the tournament had been "Be our 12th man," and the 12th man was there. If teams didn't show up, the 12th man was there. Whether it rained, we had a lot of rain in the game against Hong Kong in Lugogo, but the people were here. They were braving the rain. In Entebbe, a lot more people came through. I saw new faces that I've never seen at the cricket oval. So we thank you very much. The fans were the real MVP. The boys had to do what they had to do, but the fans were the real MVP. When we were playing Hong Kong here, I remember I think the Hong Kong captain took a catch on the boundary, and I think the fans behind him had been making noise for him, so he started doing like this for them. And I was happy to see that, because that means that they were bothering him, and so he wasn't very happy, which is very good to see. So we're very happy to see fans coming out. Please continue supporting cricket. Keep following the boys. They know they know you support them. Show them love. Sometimes fans' expectations are difficult, so we don't mind good things or bad things. You can just tell them. They will get to know it. They will show. They will know it comes from a good place. You love them. You love the team. So no hard feelings. And then also the sponsors, the guys who are partners for the tournament. Of course, the ICC for trusting Uganda cricket. But now special, Leica Mobile, Black Life, Crystal Water, Century Cinema, all very good partners for us throughout the whole tournament. In this economy of ours, especially at the back end, for you to find someone to partner with you is very difficult, and we're very grateful. Then finally, of course, to you, my guys, the media, thank you for following the team, for putting the team out there. At least this week I've been all over the place, but people are saying, at least cricket cranes, never know, eh? So thank you very much for, putting the spotlight on us, and making sure that, given all other competing things. I remember the first weekend before the tournament started, I think there was Masasa. Yeah. So people were worried, they're like, Masasa, they're going to steal the spotlight. I'm like, you see, everything has its own moments, and people will be out there to talk about us. So we just need to be patient and share information if people need it. Are there photos that people can use for these things? Let's make the photos available. But imagine you're trying to do a story and things like that. But if we have things like graphics and photos available for you guys to be able to use, then that also helps you guys to communicate about us and tell us about us. So the media, very, very grateful for your support throughout this whole tournament. And as we continue on this part, I hope we keep learning from each other, and then of course take the game of cricket to every part of this country.
Yeah, for sure we shall do that. And if there's one thing I can say is that this show started during the ICC Cricket World Cup Challenge League B series, but it will not end here. We are still going on and on and on throughout the week, through the next week, through the next year, and we shall still be talking cricket. But that has been our time. My name is Mugalu Jeremiah. Behind the cameras is Kaketo Gonzaga, one of my producers, or one of the man at the top. He's a man, one of the men at the top, because there are quite many. But This has been our time. This is the site. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. Those comments keep us going.